It's a trip out west as the Christmas break concludes. First up, a visit to San Jose to try to make it 3 straight victories. We get you set for the Oilers and the Sharks right here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Boy, I hope everyone had a good time over the Christmas break. The Edmonton Oilers back in action, taking on the San Jose Sharks. It is the Oil Stream pregame show as we shake off the rust. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev with you. Joaquin Gage filling in for a sick Matt Cassian. Tonight, Gager will stop by for Game Changers around 7:45. Curtis Pashelka from the Bay Area News will be by in about 15 minutes' time to give us the scoop on those San Jose Sharks. The Oil, 2 wins in a row, a couple of wins in the New York area, one in New Jersey, and then one against the Rangers where they hung on. They played a great game. Against a really good Rangers team, and actually it was Jonathan Quick's first regulation loss of the year. He was 9-0-1 in that game. Do you remember that game? It was almost 2 weeks ago, Trev. How long ago? Was it almost 2 weeks ago? It was a week ago.
Just last week.
It was last week. I don't know what concept of time is.
Days are lost.
I've lost it. Where are we?
Yeah, it's I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that, Tommy.
Yes. They can resonate with that. The Sharks 9-23-3, Edmonton 15-15-1. Get in on the conversation as always, 780-218-9999. Or if you're watching on our YouTube page, maybe working off some Christmas turkey or ham or lasagna. We didn't have a lasagna this year, unfortunately, but we still had a great time together as a family. Get in on the conversation. Let us know your thoughts. How was your Christmas break? Let's go to YouTube, Trev. Hello, young man.
How we doing? How we doing today, Tommy?
We're doing good. How was your Christmas?
It was it was a little different this year. I wasn't able to go down home, but it was nice, relaxing, very peaceful. Mm-hmm. I was able to cook some supper, get caught up in my chores, do some laundry, veg, chill, get some video editing done for EST and for my channel. It was a really, really good few days off. I definitely needed it. It sucked I wasn't able to see any fam, and I know I have some family listening right now, so shout out to all you guys. I love you guys, and sorry I couldn't make it down, but they were all very supportive of me and very understanding, and I appreciate that a lot. So it was honestly everything I could have asked for under the circumstance. I really just needed to get caught up in some sleep. And I definitely did that. A little too much sleeping, actually. Oh, and I went to the ODR quite a bit. And
what did you work on?
I really worked on my snapshot and my crossovers, Tommy.
You did?
Yeah, because
you're going to be ready to go for Friday Night Hockey.
Yep. Yeah, no, we're getting that
up again on the 5th.
Yeah, we're getting that back going again because I definitely fell, I think, like 3 or 4 times in front of Tommy, and it was embarrassing.
You did. I wasn't going to say anything.
Definitely don't want to do that again. So I was working on my crossovers, and you'll see, man. I look pretty good out there.
I'm excited. Maybe you sneak in another ODR session, too.
I definitely will.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I hope everyone that's watching and listening also enjoyed their holidays and Christmas, and that you got time in with family, some good food, and maybe made some good memories as well. 780-218-9999 or the YouTube chat, the old nasty chat. I will throw out a question of the night to everyone. So after putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? Let me know what you think. I want to read out all of those. Tag the text with your names if you already haven't. I know we've saved pretty much everybody's name in our database, but we're getting more and more listeners and subscribers as we roll on here on EST, and we want to make sure we get your name into the system so we know who's texting us. So, question of the night one more time. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? YouTube, Trev, you get the first crack at it.
I think absolutely they have convinced me. It takes a lot to win 8 games. A crappy team isn't putting that together. A playoff team, you could say is gonna be able to do that during the season. So they're finally starting. After just a horrendous start, they're finally starting to find their game, a little bit more consistency. The boys are gonna, coming down on the schedule, they're gonna start realizing, hey, we still got a lot of chasing to do. So the points are going to mean more and more down the road. And I mean, anytime you have Connor McDavid, you got a chance. So absolutely, the teams that they're chasing right now, I definitely think on roster, like on paper, they're way better than. And, they're still holding back from Draisaitl. We haven't seen, full-blown Draisaitl like we have in the past. So once he gets going, there's a lot of pieces I still think that haven't quite reached their expectations. So when they do, yes, I 100% think this team is definitely going to be make it interesting, and they should be in the playoffs. They really should, Tommy. So yeah, yes. I'm convinced.
I'm with you too. I do think this 13-6 run has convinced me that they are getting their heads out of their collective you-know-what, because it was after the loss to San Jose in San Jose last month where we popped off. I might have been the one that popped off on the team, I think for good reason. And it ended up being 2-9-1 at one point this year. And so I think this last stretch of games, the last 19, has shown that team that made it to the conference final and then followed it up with a visit to the second round where they lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champions for a second straight year is still lingering within the group that calls themselves the 23-24 Edmonton Oilers. So I want to hear from you. Question of the night one more time. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. Donnie M says, Happy New Year, TG. Donnie, we still got a couple of games to go before the New Year, but Happy New Year to you too. Unless this is going to be your last time checking in before New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Donnie. Good to hear from you. Appreciate it very, very much. Let's see. What do we have here via the nasty chat? Dudley says, I think it's going to be a roller coaster ride down to the end. Chris says, hey, Tommy, where would you slot Holloway when he's back? I think with Dry would be the best spot. In my opinion, I see Vance Van Vandervan has joined the nasty chat. I like that. Where would I put Dylan Holloway when he returns to action? Well, I want him to play somewhere relevant. Probably, I don't know how long Draisaitl with McLeod on the left is going to last. That might be like a small moonlighting venture for Ryan McLeod. I think Kane gets back into the mix. Hopefully he's healed up. I thought he was playing a little bit better. Maybe on the third line. Maybe on the third line is where I'd put Holloway back in, Chris. I don't want him on the fourth line. The only time I'd want to see him on the fourth line, this is just me, obviously, is when he's first coming back to action. Because the first couple games where guys come back, especially young guys, most of the time it doesn't go particularly well. They're ineffective. They're getting back into it. If he was coming back in as the Holloway we saw right before he got hurt, I'd say like top two lines. But I think they're going to need to give him a game or two to work his way back up there. I don't mind the third line. I think you could find a way to get him on the third line. Does Janmark need to be on the third line? No, he does. He's a fourth liner. He's a good fourth liner on a good team. So I think you could squeeze him into the third line somewhere. Or yeah, I'd say that. How about you, YouTube Trev? What do you got?
Yeah, it really just all depends on how McLeod and Fogle do. If that line doesn't perform, I could definitely see him being slotted in there. But I think someone chimed in the nasty chat before. I like the idea of maybe Holloway and Kane potentially being on a line.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Two physical bodies. So I don't know. I'd like to see that. Maybe Draisaitl, Kane, and Holloway. There's maybe a little bit to like there, but really just depends on how the second line is tonight. Because if they're clicking again, I don't see why you'd change it. And I'd probably put him on the third line.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I don't mind that. Let's see what Vance Van Vandervan has to say. I love that Vance Van Vandervan is into the nasty chat, and I think it was Penner's Pancakes, who's also in the nasty chat, was the one that goaded him into it. Vance Van Vandervan says, first time in the nasty chat, are we yay or nay on pants? Vance Van Vandervan, you do whatever you want with the pants situation. Currently, I'm Winnie the Poohing it, but if pants are a prerequisite, I can acquire some. You never disappoint, Vance Van Vandervan. Penner's Pancake says they will not catch the top three, but they will get a wild card spot. And what team that coasted from March 15th on will want to play them in the first round. Penner's Pancakes, I think that if this Oilers team makes a push and gets into the postseason, they will make noise, especially if they do acquire some areas of need. I'm thinking depth forward, likely a center, and then a defenseman if they can, and yes, if they can find a way to find a goalie. The goalie market sucks. You're not getting UC Saros. I don't think you're getting John Gibson. Who's Toronto playing right now? Martin Jones? And they're talking on like Sportsnet and TSN that maybe the rest over the Christmas break was good for Ilya Samsonov. The 3 days, really? What do you got, Trev? You're laughing over there.
Well, yeah, I woke up this morning and I thought you were gonna say this, but I woke up to this crazy article of Marc-Andre Fleury. He's potentially the Leafs have interest in Marc-Andre Fleury.
They had interest in him before.
Yeah, so
didn't he say
like,
no to them?
I think so. So
yeah.
I don't know where. I think it was Sportsnet too that I read this off of.
Well, where's Minnesota at right now in the standings? Minnesota is 2 points back. They've won 4 in a row. I feel like they probably want to use Marc-Andre Fleury too, even though he's old. He's going to chase down Patrick Waugh's win total for second all time, and then I don't think he's going to catch Martin Brodeur, but that is pretty damn cool. And that tells you how long that he's been in the National Hockey League for. So it's interesting. Unless a guy shakes loose, that you're like, yeah, that's probably a good one to get. Or you feel like, I remember like a month or two ago, people were like, James Reimer, Mackenzie Blackwood,
Jake Allen.
Oh, that one, every time somebody brought up Jake Allen, I was like, oh.
Yikes.
Why?
Yeah.
I thought you wanted to get better in net.
It's not better at all.
No, thank you. Thank you, Trev. Anyway, let's get to Savor. Vance Van Vandervan. No, you don't need pants, buddy. You can wear whatever you want from the comfort of your home. Hopefully you're at your home or somewhere where you're in a safe environment where that is allowed. If you were down at the Ice District Plaza today, sans pants, I would be concerned. It was busy there. It was very busy there, but good vibes in the plaza. Lots of kids out with their parents and skating and having a good time. What weather we're having, by the way, too. Doesn't feel like mid to late December, early midwinter.
It's sad, man. All the resorts back home are all closed right now. They're saying
ski resorts.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I've heard stories, people saying it's the worst they've ever seen in their entire life. Like because usually Castle Mountain was where I went back home.
Yep.
And it's a really, really nice resort and kind of a hidden gem actually. But I seen a photo and just dirt, no snow at all, just like a skiff of snow. It sucks. I know it's nice to have the warm weather, but at the same time, it's also winter, so we might as well just, have the snow.
I remember, I think it was, and if I'm wrong and somebody's watching or listening, the winter of 99-2000 where it was an El Nino, like it is right now, and we had no snow till New Year's Eve, and it was a blizzard, and we got like 1.5 feet of snow, and winter hit us and smacked everybody collectively in the face hard. It was like all those months of no winter, just boom. Here's your winter. All right, question of the night one more time. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? 780-218-9999. If you want to get in on the nasty chat and you're watching on our EST YouTube channel, let us know there. I will go through those as we make our way through the show. This is what we're anticipating for starting lineups tonight between the Oilers and the Sharks. Now, the Sharks played last night in LA. They lost 5-1. The Oilers, of course, did skate yesterday in San Jose, and then today was downgraded to an optional, so there wasn't availability, but limited player activity on the ice for the Oilers. So here's how they skated yesterday. And then I'll give you the Sharks lineup last night. We anticipate potentially some changes, back-to-backs for teams. Coaches generally like to get in some fresh legs. So for the Oil from practice yesterday, again, we'll take a look at how things roll out at warm-up. McDavid was between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. No surprise there. Draisaitl was still between McLeod and Fogle. You had Derek Ryan centering Evander Kane and Matthias Janmark. James Hamlin between Adam Ernie and Connor Brown. No word yet on if Sam Gagner is ready to go. I'm assuming he should be, but we'll see come warm-up. On defense, don't expect any changes. Nurse with CC, Ekholm with Bouchard, Kulak paired up with Desharnais. Dylan Holloway is on the trip. He will not play on the trip, the 3-gamer out west, and he is practicing with the team. We'll see what the situation is, like I said, with Sam Gagner, and then Ben Gleason, your extra defenseman. As for the Sharks, this is what they rolled out last night. It was Tomas Hertl with William Eklund and Philip Zadina. Mikael Granlund with Anthony Duclair and Fabian Zetterlund, who had the lone goal for the Sharks. Luke Kunin with Mike Hoffman and Alexander Barabanov. And then Jack Studnicka centering Kevin Labanc and Justin Bailey. On defense last night for the Sharks, you had Mario Ferraro with Kyle Burrows, Nikita Okuchuk with Jan Ruda, and then Henry Thrun with Kalen Addison. Out for San Jose, Giovanni Smith, IR, undisclosed. Mackenzie Blackwood, day-to-day with an illness. He's still not good to go. Jacob McDonald, IR, undisclosed. Nico Sturm, IR, mid-body. Don't hear that one very often. Matt Benning, IR, lower body. Ryan Carpenter activated off of IR today. We'll see if he slots in. And then Logan Couture, IR, lower body. Your starting goalies for the Oilers, 25-year-old Stuart Skinner, expected to make the start, 12-9-1, 304 goals against average, 886 save percentage in 23 games this season. Skinner versus the Sharks, lifetime 3-1 record, 152 goals against average, 933 save percentage with 1 shutout in 4 appearances versus San Jose. At the other end of the rink, it is 23-year-old Magnus Krona making his first career NHL start. He has an 0-0 record, obviously. 787 goals against average, 765 save percentage in the lone appearance he's made in his NHL career. YouTube, Trev, you're grimacing there.
Yeah, those are...
You're worried about this.
I mean, those aren't the best numbers. It'll be interesting to see how
he came in relief.
Yeah, okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. But, it should be good. It
was that 10-2 game against Pittsburgh.
Gosh. Okay, so
it was a
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Yeah.
Poor kid.
Well, here's hoping he does a little better tonight, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Do we have Curtis Pashelka? He's good to go. All right, question of the night one more time. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. And if you're watching us via our Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube channel, you can get in on the Nasty Chat. Let's welcome in Curtis Pashelka, Sharks beat writer, Bay Area News. Curtis, we're talking about Magnus Krona. What do we know about the 23-year-old Swede that played out of Denver? And are the Oilers going to get goalied, as some Oil fans are worried about?
Well, that would be quite the story if it did happen. Obviously the Sharks haven't had too many feel-good stories this season, so that would certainly qualify as wonderful. Magnus, has a good performance tonight, but kind of curious to see how he does, and knowing he's going to start, and his preparation for this moment. He's only 23, but he's pretty mature. I mean, obviously he played 4 years at Denver, won a national championship there. It's his first professional season, and things obviously go a lot quicker at this level than they do in college. So I think for his sake, if he's able to get off to a good start, make some saves, get those jitters out of the way, maybe he can go ahead and have a good night. But it's certainly a tall order for him tonight to try to slow down this Oilers team.
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to Lucas Dostal with the Ducks. I think last year stymied the Oilers, and I think that haunts Oilers fans, Curtis. That's why I bring it up, but it should be interesting to see. I'm sure he's going to be fired up. You know Oil Country well, Curtis. You've been here enough times. You know what it could be like around these parts. Okay. The Sharks did return to action last night in L.A. They took the lead, conceded 5 straight goals, fall 5-1. 6th straight loss for this team. How would you describe the last couple of weeks with this Sharks club?
Well, it's interesting. At the start of the month, I mean, they were really starting to play some very good hockey as far as just starting to create some scoring chances, capitalizing on their opportunities, and a couple of big comeback wins, like one against the New York Islanders. They came back from 3 goals down to win that game in overtime. Against the Detroit Red Wings, they came back from 4 goals down in the second period, eventually won that game too in overtime as well. So I mean. I guess you could look at it as a way of, tale of 2 seasons for the Sharks, but, they've really the energy levels kind of dropped off here a little bit. Some of the mistakes that they made at the start of the season are starting to creep back into their game. This team is when it gets down 2 or 3 goals at the start of the season, it really kind of hampered them and, deflated them a little bit. And I think they're back at that point. Mikhail Gramlin was talking last night after the game. He just says, after they got down like 2-1 to the Kings in the second period, he just said they weren't really mentally tough enough. They weren't very mentally strong, and that's a huge red flag for a team that's tries to pride itself on efforts and consistency. And you might not be match up in the ways talent wise with a lot of teams that are playing, but you got to really the effort has to be there on a consistent basis if this team wants to compete. So. There's a lot of things going on right now. I wouldn't be surprised half the guys. I mean, they've got 10 guys who are unrestricted free agents coming up, so maybe that plays into it too. Who might get moved in the next couple of months, that kind of thing. Just a lot of things going on for the Sharks team right now, and it's just a matter of can they sort of put away those distractions and have a good effort for 60 minutes, because that's obviously been lacking here over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to harp on the losses too much, Curtis, but like how much of that can be attributed to guys being injured and on the IR and all of that? Because there's some pretty good NHL players that aren't available to this team as well in this last little bit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they lead the league in man games lost, and you haven't had him a little mature all season long. He's making his way back. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back sometime early in the new year. He's had a lower body injury. They're without a Nico Sturm right now, and he's not a huge offensive presence for this team, but he does a lot of little things well that sort of help the team win. Wins a lot of face-offs. Very good in the PK. Just little things like that was important to this Sharks team. Now you take him out of there. You take Couture out of there. And you're starting to scramble, sort of fill those voids. And, it's been one injury after the next over these last little while. Mackenzie Blackwood, you just mentioned him. He's sick right now. We don't know what the issue is here, if he's going to be out for a little while or maybe he comes back by the weekend. But, it's just been one thing after another, as if they didn't have enough to deal with. Now you got all these injuries to sort of to contend with as well. And it's just made it hard for the Sharks to sort of get some momentum going and develop sort of a consistent identity, way of playing that they want to, for sure.
Yeah. Curtis Pashelka joining us now, Sharks beat writer, Bay Area News Group. All right, prior to the 6-game losing streak, the Sharks did go on a nice 6-2-2 run. What was David Quinn's team doing to stack up a few wins here and there and put points on the board too?
Well, I think, confidence played a lot of, big role in that, at least at the start of that streak. They got off to that atrocious start, 10-1, and it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. You can't win without some confidence. You can't gain some confidence without winning some games. So, I think the Sharks were doing a lot of things well. I mean, they were, their power play was clicking a little bit. The PK was showing some signs of life, and you really had some exceptional performances by the top of your lineup. Mikhail Gramlin had a very good start to the month. Tomas Hertl, I think, has been terrific. Throughout December, I think he's got 8 or 9 goals at this point this month. So you're led by those two guys, and you get some other guys chipping in, like a Mike Hoffman and Anthony Duclair. Those type of players who have a kind of a history of putting the puck in the back of the net, and you're able to outscore maybe a couple of mistakes. Like they were scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, and we're among the league leaders for a 2 or 3 week stretch after American Thanksgiving. And in offense, and suddenly it's sort of dried up a little bit, and now you can't outscore those type of mistakes that maybe you were making it at some point earlier this month. So it's the goaltending hasn't been that good. I mean, Mackenzie Blackwood's. I think if you look at his numbers overall, you can't fault him for a lot of the goals he's given up, but at the same time, the save percentage this month is what it is, and maybe he does need a little bit of time off per year could help him reset and get ready for the new year.
Right. Curtis, a lot of people, I think, figured it would be a tough season for the Sharks. Has it gone worse than expected, or is it kind of in line with preseason predictions from around the league?
Well, I tend to think it's probably a little bit worse. I mean, you look at that start. I mean, they only had 1 point in their first 11 games, and at that point, it's like, well, what can this team do well? I mean, how does this team sort of get out of it?
Right.
But yeah, nine wins after 34, 35 games. I think people knew it was going to be bad, but maybe not quite that bad. And even in today's NHL, I mean, you could fight your way to an overtime and pick up some points here and there. But, a lot of times the Sharks have just been, out of it by the start of the third period. And, it's really not it's tough to sort of build on that when you're basically getting dominated, in the second period like you have been pretty much all year. So, I mean, just from my perspective, it has been a little bit worse than the Sharks and maybe the organization expected. But, at the same time, it's, not an unexpected. And if this is bottoming out, then, maybe it pays off with a high draft pick. Maybe you get a Celebrini at the end of all this and kind of makes it all worthwhile too. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, he seems to be off to a good start at the World Juniors. A little feisty with that hit from behind, but he didn't get suspended. But we'll see where he ends up going. Still a lot of hockey to be played from now until then. But Curtis, I mean, you're around this team, have been for a while. Is there a clear understanding of Mike Greer's plan and vision for this group yet to get it back into relevancy in the National Hockey League, or is it a tough sell for the fan base that's been used to a couple of decades of really competitive teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of maybe a little bit of both. I do think there's an understanding here that they're in a down cycle, and it's going to take a little bit of time to sort of rebuild things to get back to where it was. But at the same token, attendance is what it is. I mean, it's one of the last in the league. I think Arizona may be the only team that has draws fewest fans. That's because they only play in a 4,600 seat arena. So, So it's a little bit of both. I think the fan base once the Sharks get back into a competitive type of position and they are competing for the playoffs, I think you will see interest sort of, reborn, if you want to say, just from into the team. But it's tough right now. I mean, they're expecting a pretty good crowd tonight, but by and large, it's been a tough sell here, just to get some fans in the building and get them excited about the future and what the Sharks could be in a few years. Just because they're so deep in the transition phase, they're so deep in the rebuild right now. It's a little bit tough to see what things could be like here in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that building gets rocking when it's packed. That's for damn sure. Curtis Pashelka, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for the time tonight. Enjoy the game, and Happy New Year to you.
You too, Tom. Thank you very much.
That is Curtis Pashelka, Sharks beat writer, Bay Area News Group, always on it, keeping tabs on the Sharks, and has been for quite some time. Always appreciate him having on the show as well. All right, we're going to get to some audio and video soon here, and I'm going to throw out the question of the night, get to some responses. 780-218-9999 if you're listening to our audio stream, or if you're on the TuneIn app. Appreciate you if you want to text us, or if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel. Here is the question of the night. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? Let's go into the nasty chat. Let's see what people are saying. The Bison Mask Guy, hello Bison Mask Guy, good to hear from you, says, I don't know if I'm crazy, but Connor McDavid and Connor Brown, as well as Leon Draisaitl, goal plus Edmonton win and over 6.5 goals equals plus 1,100. Into the betting, are we, Bison Mask Guy? Into the betting. What else do we have here? Brandon says, welcome back, Tommy. Happy holidays. Great to be back. Great to be back. Wilson, the volleyball, says, Gags is not good to go. Comes from Coach Knoblauch. Okay, so there we go. We're going to hear from Coach Knoblauch right away. It was supposed to be a very short-term injury. The last we heard from Kris Knoblauch before yesterday. This one says, Connor Brown is the new Eric Belanger if he doesn't score tonight. That's from Bison Mask Guy as well. D-Man asked, does Mullet Arena sell out? No. And I hate being right because it's usually something that you have wishful thinking and you're like, I hope I'm not right. And you end up being right and you're like, damn it. It has not sold out. There have been nights where maybe they have 3,800 people in there. There was a way around not announcing a sellout. And that's by you get a company like a major sponsor to buy the remaining tickets, and then you can announce a sellout. But physically, people showing up through the door, it's not a sellout. So, Taylor from Indiana, not good enough. Unfortunately, missing some pieces. Whoa. I thought today would be all about the positive vibes. All right, let's go inside the Oilers locker room at the Shark Tank. This is from earlier today. I think we've got Leon Draisaitl up first. YouTube, Trevor, we're going to hear from Draisaitl?
Yes, we are. Here is Leon Draisaitl ahead of tonight's game.
He made history at the World Juniors, beating Finland for the first time. How proud are you of them to be able to do that?
Very proud. It's amazing. I think our hockey in general in Germany has come a long way over the last couple of years, and we've had some pretty great successes. So, very, very proud of the guys there, and hopefully they can get another one against Sweden tonight.
What would be a piece of encouragement that you would send to them as they continue throughout the rest of the tournament?
There's ups and downs. You play against teams obviously that on paper are probably a little bigger, a little better than you are, but they showed it yesterday that they can beat teams like that, right? So I'll be following them, wishing them all the best, and hopefully, like I said, they can beat Sweden tonight.
Now, focusing on tonight for you guys, an opportunity for you to flip the script from the last time that you were here. How much is that a focus as you head into tonight's game?
We obviously would like to, for that game to go a little different than last time we were here. I think we've been building our game a little bit here lately, and looking to continue that tonight.
We've seen the look of you playing alongside Ryan McLeod and Warren Foegele. How much are you enjoying being able to play alongside those guys? Yeah,
a lot. I think we've created some chemistry over the last couple games, and obviously two really good skaters, different player types, but it's been great playing with them, and looking to continue that tonight.
Yeah, when it comes to Warren Foegele's shot and his heaviness on it, is that aspect of his shot underrated, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he shoots it hard. He shoots it 1,000 miles an hour. So, my job is obviously to get him into positions where, he can get to that and use it more often. And, I'll obviously do my best to find him and get him into those situations where he can, just let it go.
The last two victories for you guys have been in the comeback variety. What does that say about the resiliency of this group?
I think maturity, that we stick to our game, and we don't ponder off into something that doesn't really suit our team. So I think the last two wins were really big for us, obviously, and very mature wins, both of them.
First unofficial break of the season with the holiday break. Maybe it gives you some time for some reflection. How would you reflect on the first 31 games of the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a little bit too much up and down, a little inconsistent. We're obviously looking now to find our game a little bit and get some consistency into it. And obviously we know the situation that we're in, and there's no choice but to, rack up as many points as we can.
Last question for me, Leon. You talked about the up and downs, and when it comes to the downs, the confidence in this group never wavered. Where does that stem from?
I think just the situations that we've been in over the last couple of years. We put ourselves in some tough situations. So we've always kind of pulled through and got it done at the end. So, obviously we don't wish to do that again or over and over again. But, sometimes that's just the way it goes. But I think our confidence just comes from having been there and having been in these pressure moments, pressure situations. So I like the way our group handles those.
There you go, Leon Draisaitl doing an interview in a very busy hallway at SAP Center in San Jose. There's a text that came in from Displaced Yukoner that says, "Is Leon building a deck while being interviewed?" No, but somebody was definitely cutting sticks, literally 10 feet away in that damn hallway at the Shark Tank in San Jose, where everything is crowded. It is, in the NHL, it's an older building for sure, and I think it opened in 93 or 94. Very simplistic, let's call it. Like, it's nice, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, and it's on a small, it's wedged into a small parcel of land. Think of Rexall Place, but instead of a circle, a square. And they it's tight in there. It's tight in there. So that's why as soon as I heard the first stick being cut, I almost feel like whoever was cutting the sticks was doing it on purpose right when Leon was about to answer. That happens sometimes. Maple Jed texts in regard to the question of the night, which is, after putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? Maple Jed says, in my opinion, the team has done enough to say they have turned it around and will make the playoffs. Now it's up to Holland to see if he could pull off a few moves to put them over the top. Maple Jed, appreciate that one. This one from Strummy. Strummy says, Bumblebee tuna, boys. Bumblebee tuna to you too, Strummy. Heading back from Fort Sask hockey camp with the boys. Love it. And he sent in a video from hockey camp. Strummy, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Good to hear from you. Hope you and the boys had a Merry Christmas. And I love that. Is Leon building a deck while being interviewed? No. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know how. All right, let's go back inside the Oilers locker room one more time. Let's go to head coach Kris Knoblauch.
Is it easier at this time of the year, maybe you saw a little of this in New York City, when it's a business trip for the guys instead of having their families and that sort of thing in town? Do you buy any of that, or do you think that's just a little bit of sports mythology?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've been around the game long enough to have an opinion on that and be short-sighted. Obviously you want to break up the monotony of the road trips, and when you get to have highlights and visit people or people come see you, that obviously takes away the monotony of a 82-game schedule. But I think when you're just with your team and it's business-like, then it's obviously I think the expectation would be that you would play better.
So you just played arguably the best team in the league, and tonight you're playing a team that's had some challenges. That said, they did beat the Oilers earlier this season. What do you do to ensure that it's about the game you bring and not the opposition that you're facing?
Well, I think San Jose has been, almost playing or maybe playing 500 hockey after their start. I think they lost their first 13, 14 games. Since then, it's been a much better hockey team. And, I think right now it's about us finding our game early. We're just coming off the break. We can't complicate things, especially, we've been on the ice a couple times, but we haven't played for almost a week. We got to make sure that we're simplifying our game and, executing well.
Speaking of that break, you came off the last one where you had that little impromptu 5-day bye, so to speak, and you came out flying. Is that a bit of a trial run for this in terms of that's less of a concern because they came ready to play last time?
Yeah, no, I think that week we had a lot of 3 really good practices. I think we had two days off where the guys got to rest and take some time off. We had a heavy schedule there coming off the East Coast trip. And then, it was my opportunity to work on some things with the team and implement some systems and ideas that I wanted to do. But I think it was also guys getting sick of practices and getting ready to play games because, it's just that's much what they want to be doing. They want to be playing hockey games. And, after that break, we did play some really good hockey. Hopefully we can reset. And, we are coming off a little bit of a winning streak, 2 big games, third period comebacks. Hopefully we can refine that magic.
And you led me right into my final question would be kind of the manner in which you win. Are those worth, even though they're not worth 1.5 in the standings, do they have some carryover effect sometimes or lessons within the game that you can lean on later in the year?
I definitely think lessons within the game. And, going back, and I've mentioned this, the game against Winnipeg, where I thought we played a really good game. We stuck with it and came and won that game in the third period. Same thing against New Jersey, New York, where, I thought different types of games, especially against the New York, the Rangers game, where I don't think we started well. I think we built a game, especially in the second periods, got a little ozone time. But we don't have to change anything. When things aren't going well, we just have to get back to doing things that we're doing well. And I think, especially in the New Jersey game, where we had the abundance of goals in that short period of time, gives the guys hope that, all right, we just have to simplify and get play the way we can, and we don't have to change very much.
Kris, in your mind, do you feel like Ryan McLeod is doing anything differently that's attributing to this offensive success as of late?
Well, I think he's doing a really good job on checking. I think he's always done a pretty good job on that, and you can look at the analytics on how much time he spends in the offensive zone instead of the defensive zone. So I think that's always been part of his game. But I really like the one-on-one battles that he's been winning, and he's been contributing offensively, scoring some goals and some important goals, not goals that it's a 6-goal in a 6-1 game or anything like that. They're coming at at important times, and then also just getting rewarded with going to the net. And I see in him doing that, and it doesn't matter what player you are, no matter how good you are at scoring goals. You look at Ovechkin, and there's a few guys that can score on the perimeter with one-timing shots, but ultimately even those goal scorers score their goals mostly around the net, so it doesn't matter who you are, it's important that you go there.
When you have players like Ryan McLeod and Warren Foegele playing with Leon Draisaitl, what's the messaging like in terms of make a play if you have it, but also maybe give the puck to one of the best players in the world? What does that balance look like in terms of communication?
Yeah, they know the situation. They know who they're playing with. They know who they're going to give the puck to. And, the best playmakers know that when they're playing with goal scorers, they know where they're going to be and where they're going to pass the puck. Those guys, too, they know they need to create turnovers. They got to be hard on the forecheck to get the puck and ultimately get to Leon and, get in a position to score goals, whether that's at the net or in the slot or whatever it is. But, I think they've been doing a pretty good job. And sometimes guys get a little nervous and they overthink it. And then they making plays they shouldn't because they feel so much pressure on getting the puck. So there's a fine balance, and I think they've been doing a good job of that right now.
There's Oilers head coach Kris Knoblauch talking about his team returning from the Christmas break. Lessons within the game, picking things up, good bounce back in games, come from behind victories, all that good stuff. Has the Oilers winners of their last 2, looking to make it 3 in a row, and a great opportunity tonight against the San Jose Sharks club that has lost 6 straight and is starting a goalie who has played 1 NHL game. It was in a 10-2 loss, I believe, to Pittsburgh. That was the Letang night. And this goaltender's name is Magnus Krona. He's a 23-year-old from Sweden, played the last 4 years at Denver University, and I'm sure he's going to be pumped up, but he gets McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Kane, Nugent-Hopkins, Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, and the Edmonton Oilers. So we'll see if the Oilers can get to him or if they get Lucas Dostal. If you remember that night against Anaheim last year, ridiculous. Dostal was on fire. I don't think it's going to happen again. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. 780-218-9999. If you're just joining us, question of the night, I'll throw it out to you one more time. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot? 7 points back of a spot right now. They have games in hand. Nashville sitting in the second wildcard spot, tied with Arizona, who has the first wildcard spot. Both teams at 38 points, Edmonton at 31. Edmonton has played 31 games, whereas the Preds have played 35 and Arizona has played 34. The Oilers in the Western Conference, they and the LA Kings have played the least amount of games at 31, and it has been a very spread out schedule for the Oil this year. Joaquin Gage will be joining us shortly to give us game changers in for Matty Cassie, and Cass under the weather again. There's Gager. I see Joaquin. 780-218-9999 or via the Nasty Chat if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel. If you want to get in on the conversation, we would love to hear from you. This text comes in and says, watching the EST Christmas draft, there's a certain partiality to Eric and Dusty, and I recognize that. There's a blind love for those two. I want people to self-reflect. Those are quotes from me. This text says, love you, Tommy. You're the uncool one living the life we wanted. I'll finish listening to the draft after the game, but no spoilers. But I'm cheering for you. By the way, Fallon slays. Thank you. Is that Bobby LaFrench? I love that text. Thank you so much. I enjoyed that draft, and we made it a bit spicy. Let's get Gager in here. Let's see how Joaquin's doing. There he is. Hello, Joaquin Gage. Good evening, sir. How you doing, pal?
Good, buddy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy to see you. Thank you for filling in for Cass on short notice. You know we love you and appreciate you. How was Christmas?
It was good. It's same old kind of mayhem and chaos, but lots of smiles, late nights. And now it's just time to get down on the Bowflex. Commit.
Have you been, or have you taken the option?
I took the option today.
Okay.
Yeah, it was I took the optional skate because Cass called in sick.
Yes.
That's an awful cold though. I was the same way.
Belzy's got it too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, those two got to quit making out. And maybe they'll. But no,
Trevor's laughing.
It's terrible. It's terrible. 3 weeks till you get rid of that thing. So luckily gone through my family, and we were able to enjoy the holidays together.
Good. Well, I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm glad you could join us. You're fit, healthy, and you're going to hop on the Bowflex tomorrow. I did make my way down to the gym today, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I ran into Simon Bennett and Joel Schneider, and guess who ended up having to work out with those two? Me.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, my back and my body's gonna be killing me in about 4 hours, and I won't be able to move tomorrow. But big shout out to those guys for letting me crush a workout with those guys. So it was a lot of fun. They're really good. They're really good. Gager, what do you think about the question of the night? 780-218-9999 if you want to get in on it, or Nasty Chat. After putting together a 13-6 run in the last 19 games, Gager, have the Oilers done enough to convince you that they will compete for a playoff spot?
God, that's a good question, Tommy. It's tough because I still don't find that this team they've progressed with an identity. They're the way that they've won, especially their last two with the third period comebacks against really strong opposition, is something that I don't think we've seen from an Oiler team, especially at this part of the year and years prior. That's definitely a sign of maturity. What worries me still is what happened at the beginning of the season and where they still are at now. I know they're like the 500 team, but there's still a long runway to go and a lot of things have to happen. I would like to see them, and I know if you look at the Lightning game, probably a game that they should have won. But I'd like to see the goaltending steal a couple down in this second half of the season. And even though they had those third period comebacks, they were arguably the better team for most of the games, most of the parts of those two games.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them win one, maybe that win a few that they weren't supposed to win, right? Like maybe come out and have superhuman performances by certain players at key times and sneak away with 2 points. Not always. I mean, of course we want consistency, but you're not going to be perfect every game, but like to see get them 2 points winning, not playing the perfect game, but their game is still at a level high enough where they can gather 2 points.
The stealing wins that's a theme that's prevalent in oil country, and I think it's rightfully so. There was that win against the Rangers, Gager, where I thought Stuart Skinner was making some great saves for them. I thought he was the reason why they hung around and then were able to have that nice run in the third period. But where I almost came on the post game that night and said, there you go. Your goalie just stole you one against one of the best teams in the league tonight. However, and if I'm wrong for having this idea creep in and take over and thought actually start to permeate, when he allowed that second goal, I thought to myself, okay, I might not say the stealing a game for you when he allowed the second one. There's a Zibanejad crashing, banging it in when it kind of got cut and it fell. And it was underneath him, and then Zibanejad kind of just slammed it in. But where I really thought to myself, okay, you cannot even suggest he stole that game for them, was when he allowed that goal with 0.1 seconds. What do you think of that thought process? And was he on track, or did he do enough to quote-unquote steal one for them in that Rangers game?
Yeah, I don't think he stole one. He had a game where he played more than adequate enough to win, especially what we saw Jonathan Quick was able to accomplish in those first two periods.
Right.
It did really look like it was nothing was going to get past him. And that I've mentioned this before to you, Tommy. It's very it's difficult when you do see the other guy a lot more busy than you are, knowing that you're going to have to possibly take them a couple goals away from the other team to secure the win. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it was stealing one, but it was to go up against Quick, who was playing phenomenally. And him, like Stuart Skinner, came up with some really big saves, like super saves. And I know there was 0.6 left, but I equate that more to just the team kind of knowing this game is over and basically hitting the off switch. And you could see the frustration with Stuart Skinner after the game, slapping the when do you see that? You know, and I've felt like that before. You know, you want to come out of there. A 4-2 game is a lot on your psyche, is a lot better than a 4-3 game, right?
Yes.
And knowing that you had a performance that led to only 2 goals against, and you get a kind of a cheap one late. Yeah, goalies care about stats too, no matter what you say, Tommy.
Well, Skinner's made a point of saying he doesn't care about them this year. But I think, that's a front, if you will. It is the Oil Stream pregame show here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, and YouTube Trev with you. If you want to get in on the conversation, 780-218-9999. And one more thing on goaltending here. This text from Ken Gager says, Tommy, I was at that Dostal game a few seasons ago. I seem to recall that was the season where the jinx of the rookie or third string goalie began. Didn't the Oilers also lose to the Bruins and Islanders backups a few weeks before they got Dostal'd? I'm trying to remember.
That was the year before the bubble, right? I'm trying to think.
Dostal was last year. It was early last season, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
And then
I was thinking because the Leafs came in the bubble and they had like 3 games, right?
Yeah.
They played 3 different goalies and they only allowed 1 goal, I think. And
Yeah.
that's when it started because they had a couple backups in there.
That's when, that was bad. That was when things got real hot around here and a lot of frustration boiled over. I think that was around when Pissygate happened.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And then I think a year or two before that, Garrett Sparks got a shutout in that game against the Oilers for the Leafs. I believe it was a shutout. I don't know. It's funny because I don't like believing in those types of things, Gager, but it seems to happen to the Oilers over and over and over again, and it's frustrating. I can totally understand why Oiler fans feel that way, and they get frustrated, annoyed, worried, a little bit more nervous than they probably need to be because of that track record. So I totally understand that.
Maybe it's just Dustin Schwartz not doing his job well enough to do his pre-scouting on their 3rd and 4th goalies.
Oh,
Maybe
boy. You went there. No, it's not. No, that's not the reason why. That's not the reason why. All right, let's get into Game Changers with Joaquin Gage in for Matty Cassian tonight. Game Changers always brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current one. Community driven. He understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. I like what Gager, when you come on and you do Game Changers, I like your themes. And this one is just, I'm going to give like the slow, polite golf clap to Chef's Kiss, whatever. Number 1, Chum in the Water.
Yeah, so obviously we're a little Jaws themed tonight, Tommy, with Chum in the Water. So let's just look at the season. The game that essentially got your old coach fired was the last game against the Sharks in the Shark Tank, where you just laid a complete egg and didn't bring it. By chumming the water, we don't want to give the San Jose Sharks any life whatsoever. Make them want to just go back home, get another plate of stuffing and turkey and mashed potatoes and drown their sorrows in meat and carbs, right? You just play the same way you're going. Don't give them any life. If the Oilers play at the level that they've been at these last 2 games, withholding some extra human effort and goal, they should get the 2 points tonight.
Yeah. I do recall us saying the same thing when they went into San Jose last time, and that was a disaster of a night. But you summed it up. They did not show up in that one at all, Gager. And didn't you not feel it was weird that they gave Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson that next game in Seattle, and then they won? They had a big night in Seattle, and then it was over.
They had a great night in Seattle. The night that was. If I'm wrong, that was the emergence of Dylan Holloway. In my mind, was the first time he seemed to figure out what was going to make him successful, and he didn't back-to-back games. Although just hitting the knee on the board's funny in the second one there, but that was it was such a terrible moment to see the coach gets let go, and then you see a young guy figuring things out, working his way into the lineup, hopefully becoming a regular NHLer that you can rely on, and both of them are gone.
On the Holloway thing, before we get to number 2 of Game Changers, he is with the team. He made the trip again. This is basically one extended road trip that's broken up into 2. East Coast for the first half, come home for Christmas. West Coast for the second half, and then you come back. Holloway's been skating with the group. He's back with them right now. Someone asked this question earlier in the Nasty Chat, I think it was. Where would you slot Holloway in when he is good to go? And I'm just curious how you would put him back into action.
Well, it depends on the lineup situation at the time and if there are injuries, obviously. But I would like to see him still kind of in that that lower part of the lineup role, that bottom six role, to find his game again. I don't think thrusting a guy that, he was just tasting some success to just because he's going to want that back. A young player's going to think he can get back in there, and that it just doesn't work that way. The NHL is not unlike your golf game, Tommy. As the season rolls on, you become better and better, right? Not like Matt Iwanek who just cries, "Oh, my shoulder's hurt and I can't do this anymore." So he's jumping on a treadmill going at 10 miles an hour, essentially, right? Like he's got to get up to speed real quick. It's going to take time for a young player like that.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where he winds up and how and when, if he can pick up where he left off, which is, like you said, Gage, you're starting to figure it out. Shout out to Iwanek if he's watching or listening, who did have shoulder surgery last week. Hope you're doing well, Maddie, and healing up.
I hope you're all right.
Yeah, well, there it is. There it is. There's a good teammate, Joaquin Gage. Number 2 of Game Changers, we need a bigger boat.
So we need a bigger boat because the boat that the Oilers are on, the guys that are on it are doing all the scoring. And we need more guys on the boat. We need more scoring, more consistent scoring throughout the lineup with the Oilers. You see, last year, I believe it was Seattle who had like 14 guys in double-digit scoring. The Oilers have like 4 right now with like 2 or 3 on the cusp. They're going to need contributions throughout the rest of the year from a lot more than what they're getting now on the goal scoring side. We've seen guys struggle. Obviously, I look at the nasty chat. Brown is a consistent topic that we're seeing. They have to find some chemistry with these other lines. I know Leon said it was kind of coming along with McLeod and Fogle there. Obviously, Evander Kane's got to refine his game. I think we'll see that quick. He's that type of player when things are going bad, and you hear some of the comments that he makes. I would bet money on a very physical game from Evander Kane tonight. There's going to be a lot of finished checks, right? That's what gets him back going. Yep. We know the struggles with Brown. Hopefully he can break the ice and get one tonight. But they're going to need more guys, because I looked at a few other teams and even the Canucks, like they're close to having 9 guys in double-digit scoring right now. There's a reason why they're arguably the best team in the league. Yeah, it's been very impressive in Vancouver, and they look like they're continuing to churn out wins and don't seem to be going anywhere. The Oilers, if you're wondering, they, like Gager mentioned, do have 4 guys that are over double digits in goals. Hyman at 19 leading the way. Then you got Draisaitl at 14, Kane at 13, McDavid at 12, Nugent-Hopkins and Bouchard both at 8. And then there's a bit of a drop-off. The next closest is 5. Warren Fogle and Darnell Nurse each have 5. So does Ryan McLeod now. I suppose, Gager, it's encouraging that, Fogle got in on the action. McLeod seems to have woken up somewhat. Matthias Janmark, although he plays right, doesn't have a lot of offensive pop for sure. Maybe Darnell Nurse can chip in offensively here and there. He's got 5 goals, 5 assists so far this season. Are you starting to see little increments of growth in the offensive side of things? The Oilers, what did they have, like 10 to 12 guys last year over 10 goals? Yeah, I mean, Derek Ryan, I believe, did he have 11 goals, 12 goals? Derek Ryan, Clint Costin, it filtered through the lineup, and it wasn't only just the 6-1 goals. They were very important goals. Clint Costin, one of the reasons he was so loved in Edmonton was he scored some big goals at crucial times for the Warriors with low amount of minutes. Right, doesn't matter, like 7-8 minutes. And having a goal, that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, I think it's necessary. You can't, like, the big dogs can't be carrying the load through the second half of the season here. That's just, they're gonna need. We'll go into the next one. What I think about, but they're going to need consistent contributions throughout the whole lineup. All right, let's get into number 3 of Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite, Joaquin Gage in for Matt Cassium.
Number 3, that's some bad hat, Harry.
So yeah, famous line from Jaws. This goes to what hat are the Oilers wearing? Like we've seen the peaks and valleys. We've seen really good play followed up by subpar levels of effort and execution through different spans.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I go back to what I said earlier, Tommy, about the just how maybe winning some of those games that they stayed in, clawed their way back, and won maybe one that they didn't deserve to.
Right.
Consistency. They need to take off the inconsistent hat, put on the consistency cap, and make sure that they're bringing. And it's difficult. There's a lot of games to play, but looking at their schedule right now with a lot of winnable games, a consistent level of play, and with the Oilers' skill level and maturity level, they should be back within, I think if things go well, they should be back within striking distance in that top 3 of the Pacific Division.
Totally achievable, in my opinion, as well, Gager. Okay, you kind of touched on it a little bit, and you said, hey, Evander Kane had some interesting comments, and it seems like when he makes those, the next game he's fired up. After he made the comments, was it the Minnesota game, I think it was, early in the year? And then he went on a tear after that, which was great. Then he got nicked up, went into a bit of a dry spell offensively, got that goal against the Rangers, made that comment saying that he had limited minutes. Gager, he played 14-40. Okay, this is a guy that usually plays like 17 minutes a night. He's not the top of the food chain, but he's like right there. So he's getting his 17 minutes with, limited cookies on the power play. But what do you make of that? Do you read much into it, or do you think that's him just being a smartass because it's kind of his MO?
I think it's a frustrated player move. You don't get that way without being frustrated. Whether that was not being able to really find that cohesion, that chemistry with Leon while he played with him.
Right.
You would think with those two together that some sort of magic would appear there. And then, it's sometimes seeing the success of other guys playing and essentially getting demoted. But look, I don't mind it from him because he's always seems to back it up.
Right.
He's brought his game to make the coach's decisions difficult not to play him with better players because he's going so well, or playing a style of game that would suit the top guys, right? Don't want to touch the first line, but I don't think it'll be too long before you see Evander Kane back with Leon or well, not Nuge, but it won't take long. He's too good a player.
Yep.
And he's one of the few players on the team that is able to beat goalies from distance with his shot. But he also scores from those in the paint 2 to 6 feet areas as well. So he's just a physical presence. So I don't mind it. It's just, sometimes you got to eat a little bit of humble pie and do what's best for the group. The Oilers aren't in a place where they can have a disgruntled member of their team in the locker room because there's a ton of work still to do.
Yeah. That's why we need a bigger boat, Gager, right? I like that.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, I want to throw something at you. It's another thing that's kind of been brought up recently, and this guy hasn't made it easier for people to stomach the idea of him not getting a look-see, and that's Olivier Rodrigue. You and I talked about him a little bit last week. Continues to have success. I think he's 3-0-1 in his last 4 starts. He's putting up good numbers. He's 5-2-2 overall this year, .938 save percentage, .209 goals against average. Is this Rodrigue recognizing that there may be an opportunity for him here? Is this natural progression? Is he a guy that might see some time? And I think you and I both had the same thought process is don't bring him up just yet. And you talked about the hierarchy among the farm system. When does the team look at him and go, all right, maybe we should bring him up instead of Jack Campbell? And I still don't feel like they have any urgency or need to have any urgency to bring up Jack Campbell. That's just my opinion, though, Gager. Where are you at on all of this?
No, Jack's fine where he is. And I mean, he's even more so watching this young kid play at this point Tommy. It would look no further than what happened down in Vegas last year with the guy going through all their goalies and finding the diamond in the rough after going through layers and layers. I'm a strong believer that in certain situations, 3 goalies are needed. And if you're having a young kid that essentially doesn't know any better of the situation he's in, he's just jacked that, I've got supposedly the starting goalie of the Edmonton Oilers that I'm playing ahead of right now. I'm next in line here. I guarantee that's what he's thinking right now. And when it comes to the most important time of the year, who knows what happened if Stuart Skinner, one of these guys, get injured, and if he's still playing this way, Tommy, I've completely flip-flopped here, but I think due to the Jack Campbell's play in Bakersfield and looking at those numbers, and then you look at the young kid and what he's been able to accomplish, he's plummeting down the depth chart, while this young kid is making decisions a little bit tougher for in case, and if the situation does arise, why wouldn't we take this young kid? He's a lower cap hit if need be or anything like that, and he's playing better than the guy we got down there. So I that's my thinking. You mentioned the hierarchy probably won't happen because it does look horrible that you have your highest paid goaltender, not even your first call up in the minors of your organization. That's a horrible, horrible look.
Yep.
But I mean, what's more important, looking good or winning games?
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, at some point you swallow your pride and you go, well, it's probably beneficial for the organization as a whole to keep that guy, like you said, down there, especially if you're trying to win at the top level and he can't give it to you and isn't even doing it for your farm team. So it's, and I know, like, it has to be said. I think for some people they go, well, duh. And I get that. But I think others have the first thought that they go to is like, well, why are you paying this guy $5 million to have him in the minor? Of course you got to call him up. And you got to, again, it's a swallowing the pride, Gager, and you're like, listen, this guy's not going to help us. And then the Oilers are going to try to move on from him at some point. You can get him right now if you want to. If you're a team out there and you're like, I need an NHL goalie. Like if the Leafs continue to burn through goalies and the Red Wings continue to burn through goalies and they're calling up ECHL guys right away, you might go, well, maybe I look at Jack Campbell from the Oilers. Like it's going to have to get to a point of desperation where that situation might arise. But I mean, Detroit had 3 NHL caliber guys and they had to burn through. Like, what about the Carolina Hurricanes, man? They've got Aaron Dell on a PTO and he's playing at the Spengler Cup right now. It's crazy what's going on with goalies.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to, Tommy.
No, you're from a different breed, Gager. Jason texts in via the Nasty Chat, said, should Jack just sit for the remainder of the year? Does he not have bad numbers to date while being down there? I think the main part of what Jason asked there, should he sit for the remainder of the year? He's not just going to sit out the season, right, Gager?
No, he's gonna play at some point. But I don't know. Does he get loaned out? Are they completely going to move on? Obviously, pay him. I mean, what was troubling that I think we were talking about it, Tommy, was there was no Oiler picks at the World Juniors from any country this year.
Correct. Right? We talked about that.
The cupboards are bare. I don't know if something arises with Jack Campbell, but any sort of pick, any sort of depth that you can get, and I'm sure they've exhausted all their options. But look, they've been. I feel bad. I mean, I know that this is the worst thing that could ever happen to a goalie. But look, it's as they say, it's a results-driven league, and even in the American League, you have to perform at a high level if you want to be a mainstay on the team, and he's just not doing it. And do I think it's there? Yeah. but it for some reason it's gone now. And Oilers aren't in a position to try to find it anymore. They've given him the chances. They gave him the chance to go down there and light it up, and he still hasn't done that. It's time to again, maybe swallow some pride. Maybe Jack Campbell. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him. You're not going to be in the organization. Find a place in Europe to play.
Yeah.
Right? That's Dusty might be calling his games at the Spengler next year.
Fair enough. Couple of texts here. One says, and it's from Duck Dad, says he's done as an NHL goalie, it seems, sadly. Dudley asks, is Jack a summer buyout? Dudley, I think that they want to avoid the buyout at all costs and find a team out there with the cap space to take him on and bury him. I think that is the plan of attack. Does it cost them an asset? Yeah, probably, but I don't think they want to deal with. Gager, where do you come out on buyouts? Because I know it's an easy out, but it is one that penalizes you. And even though the cap's going up by $4 million next year, you just watched the Oilers get out of the Lucic. They were paying him $750,000 a year for the last 3-4 years as his contract was winding down. They were paying for Andre Sekera. They had Benoit Pouliot on there for a bit. They have James Neal still. I think they want to avoid the dead cap space. And one thing that the Golden Knights have avoided in their time in the NHL is dead cap space from a buyout. And they've never traded a number or a first-round pick as well. And that seems to be a reasonably good template to follow rather than take the easy road out, which will cost you, and that's the buyout.
Yeah, so they buy him out next summer. What is that? So that's 6 years at a little over $1 million.
I think it ends up being under 2, but yeah, it's still crappy.
Yeah, that's funds that you can with what's going to happen with the big dogs, however their contracts kind of iron out.
Dollar bills.
You I mean it in NHL money it doesn't sound like a lot, but those could be 2 pivotal players, maybe journeyman players, signing a league minimums to come play for the Oilers at that point. Yeah. Right? That could mean the difference of winning a round and not. So I just with how much it is and the position, I just think you have to eat that thing, Tommy. I mean, if the right deal comes along, sure, you jump at it. But I don't think you're looking at buying out Jack Campbell. It's too costly, and when he is in the minors, it's not the 5, it's the 3.8 hit. Still quite big, but it's not 5.
Yeah, I think this year and last year should have taught us as people who cover the team, fans of the team, how valuable cap space really is. I think that's something that generally we've picked up on, and the value is huge, certainly. Okay, Gager, final thing for you tonight. What type of game do you think we watch between the Oilers and Sharks?
I'm going to say scrappy, I think. Ooh. Tommy, I always liked coming off a break, a little bit recharged. Both teams, you're getting ready for the second part. Sharks kind of playing for more. It's half a year of training camp, essentially. Yikes. Wondering what's going to happen. Maybe some guys are looking for movement at the trade deadline, right? Maybe they're showcasing themselves. So there still is something to play for there. I mean, we all know what the Oilers' mindset is. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. 2 teams coming off break. The Sharks aren't as bad as everyone thinks. But then again, if the Oilers play at an intensity level and match their execution to it, the Sharks don't have a chance.
Yeah, and that execution level, intensity level just was not there back on November 9th when they lost 3-2 to the Sharks, which was the low point of the season. Joaquin Gage, always a pleasure, sir. I look forward to chatting with you and seeing you very, very soon. Thank you so much for filling in for Cass tonight, as always, my friend. A pleasure.
All right, buddy. Take care.
That is Joaquin Gage, our game analyst, in for Matt Cassian, who is under the weather yet again. Gager had that illness, said it's about a 3-week process. Belzy's got it too. Boys, get well soon. We want you to get well. But great stuff there from Gager. For Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. I'm going to get to a few texts. I'm going to update you on out-of-town scores and anything else that we need to get you ready for tonight's action. This text says, where was it? VR Montenegro had it. Said, Campbell is done in the NHL for the season, barring injury. If he can hack the NHL, the Oilers can find out that next camp if he hangs around that long. And then Vance Van Vandervan said, I like this, and Vance Van Vandervan said he would laugh for a week if the Leafs ended up trading for Soup. I just use them because I know they're in a goalie bind right now. I don't think they would go, although it's a new GM, it's Brad Treliving. I don't think they would. That would be a last resort for them. And then I threw out Detroit there because they had a bunch of goalies go down. I'm just saying, like, what if a team or two get so desperate for goaltending and they actually just need to finish up the season? They have cap space. Maybe that scenario plays out. But, yeah, it was a hypothetical, and I understand Vance Van Vandervan why you'd be laughing for a week if that happened. I get it. It was just a hypothetical, though. And then Vance Van Vandervan also said, a man can dream, though. A man can dream. Yes, absolutely. A couple other texts to get to. I think I'm going to go into the text line. I was looking at the nasty chat, but there's some good back and forth going on there. Sean says, season greetings to you all. I just feel like with a name like Magnus Krona, he's supposed to steal this game for the Sharks. The hockey gods will make it so, and Oiler fans will be left pumping their fists towards the heavens, yelling, Krona! That one comes in from Sean. And Brandon from Windsor. Thank you, Brandon from Windsor. I was right. Dostal was last December. I believe that was even an afternoon game, too.
It was a matinee game, and I was at that game, and it sucked.
Me too. It did suck. It was a bad game. No atmosphere. They got a million shots. He had like 47 saves that night. Dostal played amazing, but the fact that they couldn't beat him and they lost to Anaheim, that was a rough one. Jocelyn. Hello, Jocelyn. Jocelyn says, God, I've missed hockey. Go Oilers. Jocelyn, great to hear from you. Happy to have you along for the ride on the pregame show. I'm looking in the nasty chat. I thought I had a few. Texts, but it's just a conversation going back and forth. All good. All right, let's go around the National Hockey League. 4 games total on the schedule, so a quiet one after 14 were played yesterday. I haven't seen anything in terms of lineups, anything update-wise. Have we seen anything?
I have not seen anything, no.
Okay, let me know if anything changes. But we are one of 4 games on the sched tonight. 5-3 Carolina over Montreal. And that game was the first one to wrap up. Obviously, no score between Vancouver and Philly. That one midway through the first. Vegas leads LA 1-0 in Vegas. 8 minutes in, and then you got the Oilers and the Sharks. The Sharks losing in LA last night 5-1 after opening up the scoring. And also kind of related to the Golden Knights and the Habs and the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know if you heard this, but Max Pacioretty is close to making his Washington Capitals debut. Doesn't that sound weird? It might be tomorrow.
I'm not going to lie, I totally forgot. That,
right?
Wow, that's weird.
And it might, if it's not tomorrow, it's likely on Saturday against Nashville. Right?
For the Capitals, eh?
They
also just signed today, former Oiler, Ethan Bear, 2-year deal.
Yes.
2 point something. So,
yes.
Kind of interesting.
Good luck to Ethan.
Yeah, good luck to Ethan.
Great guy. Really great guy. And hopefully he's healthy because I know he was dealing with some injuries. And hopefully he can make a go of it in Washington. A team that could use a good young defenseman like Ethan Bear.
Yeah, I think so. He actually started playing pretty good near the end of last season for the Canucks. And it would be nice to see him. I was big on Ethan Bear when they drafted him. The day he drafted him, I just what he did in junior, defenseman of the year in his final year.
Absolutely, with Seattle.
Yeah, real good player. So here's hoping he can, put everything together for the Caps. That would be awesome if he could make a pretty long career. That would be great.
Great kid. Hopefully he can put it together in Washington. An excellent opportunity for him there. Let's wrap up with a few more texts. John from the Fort. Buy him out. He's a head case, boys. The dude walks his cat. Happy New Year, boys. John from the Fort. The buy him out was in all caps, and the dude walks his cat LOL part. That's one of the first things one of my buddies covering the Leafs in Toronto texted me when I asked about Jack Hamill. He said, well, he's a nice guy, which he is, and I can totally vouch for that. I really like Jack Hamill, great guy. But my buddy out in Toronto was like, he walks his cat, right? I was like, well, that's strange, but I'm not going to hang everything on him for that. But John from the Fort, thank you for the reminder. Excellent text. Happy New Year to you as well. The Liquid Beaver says, at some point they have to give Rodrigo a look this year to see what they have. He will have to clear waivers next year. I'm not going to read your name the way you want us to. Kenworth Kelly says, that young goalie for San Jose is going to get lit up like a Christmas tree tonight, keeping it in the holiday spirit. Go Oil. Kenworth Kelly, appreciate the text. Oh, John in Fort Sask, you guys made me laugh. All right, that's going to do it for the Oil Stream pregame show. A huge thank you to everyone who tuned in. Hopefully, we get you back on track hockey-wise. I know it's been a little bit strange without any Oilers hockey for the last, 5 days, somewhere around there. But we're back, baby, and let's go. So thank you to Curtis Pashelka for stopping by from the Bay Area News Group. Pashelka on the Sharks beat, of course, and then Joaquin Gage filling in for Matt Cassian. Cass, get well, buddy. Same to you, Sean Bell. I want you guys fighting fit because we have a bunch of shows this weekend. We're the only shows that are running right now on this fine station. You can catch the holiday special. It's been on repeat. The boys did a great job with that. And then the Christmas draft has been playing as well. So everything's back to normal on January 2nd. But pre and post game, we are back, baby. And we're so glad to have you along for the ride. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that thumbs up button, please. And thank you to those who listened in via TuneIn or our audio stream. We appreciate you. So that's going to do it for the Oil Stream pregame show. For Gager, YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola saying ciao for now. Enjoy the game.